How in the world is behavior like this normalized? Yeah. Wow. As some people are saying, it has something to do with trying to understand yesterday. Day of events when it comes to, of course, shootings, as the discourse online, I would say, is a little bit more toxic than ever. But I think we are now actually having some conversations that are getting a little bit closer towards understanding the situation that happened yesterday that was extremely unfortunate, extremely tragic, as now the discourse is trying to solve this problem, as some people are trying to use it for their political brownie points. Who is right? Who is wrong? Where is this discussion leading that I think is actually going to help us as a society understand this problem and quantify it? That's what we're going to be discussing here, as some people are saying, oh, bring in the AI technocratic surveillance state and red flag laws, which actually Donald Trump and Pal Bondi are fans of. Is that really what's going to be happening here out of all of this? I hope not, because I think that's the mistake that a lot of us are being kind of pushed and ushered into. So subscribe, click the notification button. We greatly appreciate all the time if you appreciate these type of conversations. Now, yesterday's event is still something that is in the top news headlines, and it should be. It's an event that we should be doing everything in our power as a society to try to stop and prevent from happening ever again. Innocent Catholic children being targeted is something that usually is something that the media is like, oh, shoot, poop, go away. The discourse here has a lot of people actively coming out and saying, no, I'm telling you, it's the tools. Someone drove a car drunk, therefore you cannot drive a car. What? That's the type of arguments that they're making surrounding self-defense type of tools that, if would have been utilized and implemented by a well-armed population, would have prevented this type of event and stopped it immediately, in my own personal opinion. Today, we're finding out more details about this insane person, an insane person that I don't even want to share the name of. I don't want to show his face. I don't want to make him infamous, as now other news organizations are more worried about what kind of pronouns are they going to call him? Literally, that's what. We'll play that CNN clip here. As now we're getting more details that allegedly he was tired of a transition that he was going through with heavy hormones that he was being given that clearly, in my opinion, probably had some kind of impact on his mental, physical well-being. As now there are a number of incidences that have happened surrounding these particular individuals that are being drugged up with a lot of unproven, untested pharmaceutical medical interventions that a lot of people have linked to not only the worsening of their mental health, but their physical health as well. What did you think was going to happen here? You take someone whose brain chemistry is still developing, right? You take someone who's hormonal, and then you pump them up with a whole bunch of medical intervention and drugs that alter and change. Do you think there's going to be maybe some mistakes and mishaps that happen here, especially with an unpredictable brain chemistry that's still developing? Ha! Who would have thought that would have happened here? And but again, white people are being blamed. White people, AR-15s, they're the problem. They're it. I'm telling you, it's that tool. Someone drove drunk. We all got to stop driving. That's the argument that they're making here. And listen, the media here, even Fox News was predominantly afraid to talk about this hot topic issue. And it is the hot topic issue, but it deserves to be talked about if we really want to get down to the bottom of it. If we truly want to understand it, as clearly a lot of people are trying to extrapolate the messages on this person's tools. Of course, the same tools that they always talk about banning. The same things. Oh, those magazines. We got to get rid of those magazines, as he wrote, sponsored on BlackRock. Clearly, this person was not mentally well. Clearly, he was evil. But CNN is still worried about making sure that they identify him correctly.
Piece of the puzzle as to who the shooter was. The Minneapolis Star Tribune says, according to court records, because there's been some confusion about what the shooter's name was.
Yes.
Robin Westman's mother applied to change her child's name in 2019. It was, at one point, Robert Paul Westman.
Correct.
But since she identifies as a female and wants her name to reflect that identification, was underage, it's now Robin West, another piece of...
Yeah, thank you so much. Oh, my God. Where would I have been if I wasn't for that? Important, careful consideration for a demonic, evil human being that take the lives of small children. Oh, no, they were a totally biological woman. Oh, no. Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? The conversation on Fox News is also just as much of a regressive conversation here. Now, since 2015, and 2025, there was demographics here. And again, when it comes to a lot of these polls, you always got to be careful. But there's very interesting data here highlighting the activity here, because if you would watch the corporate media, you would expect white men to be the bane of everyone's existence and the creation of all evil. As now people are saying, no, don't worry. We're going to have we're going to spy on everyone, and we're going to keep everyone safe. You're going to have to give up your liberties and freedoms because we're going to keep you safe. I find that ridiculous, as now the conversation has shifted against violent crime and the individuals in our society that commit overwhelmingly the vast majority of violent crime. Can you guess who they are? It's white men. Look at all these white men. We're going to get into it. Before we do, this is a controversial topic, and that's why your support of this independent media organization is more important than ever. And you can support us by supporting yourself and your own independent health journey by going to our website, takecalm.com, and checking out our full spectrum 1,000 milligram CBD. It's in low stock. I think we only have like 50 of them left so far. It is made, grown, manufactured, and packaged all in the United States. It's an American product. You don't want to be getting your CBD from gas stations from China. This is, again, grown in California. And a lot of studies, I remember hearing about this all the way back in like 2006, 2007, showing specifically how it helped people who were dealing with seizures, especially small children. Then CNN did an expose. I actually went to Amsterdam, interviewed the pot father, and people who were on the cutting edge of this kind of new medical intervention. And that's when I knew, I was like, this stuff is kind of incredible, as a lot of people report a lot of benefits, especially with CBD, when it comes to reducing inflammation, pain, and stress, improving sleep, and, quote, immunity, according to Dr. Khan Aniz on social media, on Twitter. Now, this is something that's not going to get you all high or loopy-doopy. That's not the stuff. Listen, I'm not a big fan of that stuff because people use it as a form of escapism. I don't want you escaping. I want you to become a better, more amazing version of yourself. There's also clinical trials showing how dosing actually reduces daytime fatigue for some people and overall improves psychological well-being. And these were randomized placebo-controlled studies. Do your own research before putting anything into your own particular body. Listen, this stuff really works for me. It really works for my family members that I give this to that are dealing with a lot of high stress issues, that are dealing with anxiety. I dealt with anxiety. This stuff personally helped me. It might potentially help you. Do your own homework. Do your own research. TakeCalm.com. Get it while supplies last. This is truly some powerful, awesome, incredible stuff that I cannot recommend enough for you as an individual, one-on-one, that I truly do enjoy, and you might enjoy as well. Now, let's get back to this very controversial conversation here, as, of course, a lot of people are saying the solution is give up all of your privacy and rights. As Fox News is talking about, Fox News was literally talking about, it's all these white men. What? Are you kidding me? As now, Fox News is also talking about, oh, don't worry, we'll keep you safe with Israeli-grade surveillance tech. Yeah, that works really well over in Gaza.
Correct. I am now about to launch Gideon, America's first ever AI threat detection platform built specifically for law enforcement. It scrapes the internet 24/7 using an Israeli-grade ontology to pull specific threat language and then routes it to local law enforcement. It's a 24/7 detective. It never sleeps.
Sounds like pre-crime. sounds like red flag laws, sounds like something that could be misused, especially for political purposes, with someone having overwhelming, incredible amounts of power on all the data out there.
And it's going to get us in front of these attacks.
Would it have picked?
Now listen, if you want to get in front of these attacks, there's ways of doing it. And we'll get into those in a little bit. One, stop doing untested, unproven medical interventions on small children when they're growing up and their brain chemistry is still developing. Well, the hormones are still being figured out. Stop pumping them with experimental, unproven type of interventions that clearly have been linked to more self-harm incidents, but also, most importantly, more violent incidences. Stop doing this craziness. That's number one. There's a second aspect to this that I think is important to talk about.
Picked up on this, do you think?
100%. I wish my program would already be up. We're not launching until next week. I've got a dozen agencies on board, Trace. I just unloaded a major Northeast agency with over 2,700 sworn. This is America's early warning system.
Yeah. Oh, baby, someone has an opinion about our greatest ally that it's not approved of. Let's go give them a visit. Stuff like that literally is happening over in the United Kingdom, and it's terrifying. Now, number one, I think these medical interventions, drugging young kids when they're still developing and growing, I think that's a recipe for disaster, and that's why we're seeing such an uptick of these particular types of incidences from these particular type of individuals that have been medically intervened and are now mentally and physically unstable. That is pretty clear. It's not controversial to talk about that. It shouldn't be, even though Fox News is deathly afraid to talk about this for some reason. Now, Jeremy Kauffman, an individual that I know, I interviewed a couple times, had something interesting to say that I think is worth listening to, because he comes more from the libertarian aspect, the more kind of anarchist aspect, but more importantly, more from the rational aspect of this. And listen, this is not an easy conversation to have, but let's have it. And he says 80% of all crimes are committed by people with 3+ prior arrests. Most people are not criminals. A tiny minority are antisocial psychopaths who commit most crimes. It's also a genetic trait that keeps being repopulated. This is some of the lowest hanging policy fruit there is. And I agree with him. I absolutely agree with him. And if you want to address this issue, listen, if someone has 3+ prior arrests, especially when they're violent arrests, there's an argument to be made here about punishing those people a little bit more harshly than, of course, being more lenient on them. And we have seen a lot of leniency against crime, especially in leftist, liberal, democratic, George Soros appointed cities. George Soros, who, by the way, might be getting arrested soon. We'll talk about that in the next video. Really surprising stuff happening there. I'm going to talk about that in the next video, so stay tuned for that right after this one, by the way. Now, he responded to someone saying the actual reason we can't incarcerate out of weight of crime is because literally every American commits dozens of crimes every single day. Yeah, that's because the laws are just ridiculous. On average, an American commits 7 felonies, I think, a day. That was one of the statistics out there. Speeding, jaywalking, drinking in public. Listen, we're not talking about that. We're talking about violent crimes. Now, if you're going to be arrested for jaywalking 3 times, obviously you're not a threat to society. Obviously, the threat to society is the policing that is a bit ridiculous. Now, there's a fine line here where you got to respect people's individual liberties, people's privacy, and you could still do that. But, this guy, he committed a violent act, and he keeps committing these violent acts. Deal with him a little bit more harshly. This guy here, he accidentally wrote a bad check, whatever. Or he jaywalked, or he had a little drink in public. That guy's not a threat to anyone but himself, right? All right? You don't need to punish them that harshly. Nuance here is the conversation here, as another person says, we can absolutely incarcerate our way out of crime. If we imprison people for life after a 3rd offense, most crimes would disappear. And we could do it in an inexpensive by contracting imprisonments for prisoners serving life to countries like El Salvador. That's a little bit more of an extreme type of measure. I wouldn't know if I would want American citizens to be sent to El Salvador. But if they're proven to be clinically psychopaths, which there is a population of, most psychopaths, by the way, in Washington, D.C. Now, do you use AI predictive programming to find all the psychopaths? Some people say yes for a clean, total, great, safe society. No, because the threat then is this system being utilized by tyrants, by people who will use it against their political enemies, saying, no, you're a sociopath, you got to go to jail, you got to go to El Salvador, we're just going to deport you. Bye. See you later. Andale. Arriba. And that's not a system that I think is going to be just. I think it's a system that's ripe for abuse here. Now, another aspect of this is specifically when it comes to black males. As Mike Cernovich came out and says, most shootings are done by black males, in total, not to mention per capita. Democrats oppose Trump ending shootings by black men of largely other black men in D.C. Democrats want to take guns from whites, who they see as kulaks. It's not any more complicated than this. Yeah, he's right. And when you look at the crime statistics, by the way, they're cooked. I don't even believe in them. But they're cooked in a direction that I think even shocks most people. Because, listen, this is a conversation that's very hard to have here, but black on white crime is 45% higher than white on black crime. But you turn on the TV, you turn on any type of TV series or movies, it's always a bad, evil white man. You turn on all these commercials, you turn on all these PSAs, it's also tiresome. It's like, oh, these evil white guys. Ooh, predator white guys. And listen, black people make up 12% of the population, and they make up about 50% of all the kind of murders and robberies. That number's a lot higher, though. Why? Because it's predominantly black males. Black males that make 6% of the U.S. population that commit vast majority of the murders and robberies. Often, and again, people, when talking about this data, this is according to the 2018 National Crime Victimization Survey done by the Bureau of Justice, okay, with the Department of Justice doing this. Now, this is something that a lot of people won't believe, especially if you watch the corporate media, if you watch mainline establishment type of entertainment. But these stats are even worse than they are, as of course, men like this are being classified as white. Yeah, white man charged with taking out 2 other Latinos in a love triangle, as many states, even Texas, specifically label black crime suspects as white, especially if they have a Spanish last surname. And there's a bunch of these particular cases. Look at this whitey. Now, some of them are like a little bit like in the middle, like this guy. I would say whatever. Okay, maybe he's white passing. This guy is a little, maybe it depends on the exposure. He looks white. But let's just be honest with ourselves here. Vast majority of people are not white. This guy, he's definitely not white. This guy's definitely not white. This guy's not white. This guy's not white. But he's labeled as white. Why are black criminals being labeled as white? So they could fudge the data and fudge the statistics. Okay. There's even initiatives by police officers being told, hey, arrest more white people. We're arresting too many black people. That's not good. That's not going to look good here. Now, that's the type of hard conversation that I think we need to have. Another hard conversation that I think we need to have here are the use of interventions with SSRIs and hormones and hormone blockers, as RFK Jr. just announced that he's going to be launching studies into SSRIs right after this major event that happened yesterday, which I think is needed now more than ever, and right on him for doing that.
Prevented, and we're still trying to get a lot of answers to a ton of questions. But the one thing is clear: you are dealing with a person who's trans, that was transitioning. Are you going to be examining at all some of the drugs that are used in order to make that transition happening, to see if it plays a role? Because we also know there was a trans shooter in the Tennessee situation.
There's a number of them, and the true numbers of them are actually even just, in my opinion, personally being obfuscated from the general public. And it's probably a lot higher than what we know of it now. We only hear about these public incidents because they become national news. A lot of them who are prevented, stopped, or happen in smaller numbers or unsuccessful ways, they're usually probably underreported.
Yeah, we are doing those kind of studies now at NIH. We're launching studies on the potential contribution of some of the SSRI drugs and some of the other psychiatric drugs that might be contributing to violence. You know, many of them on there have black box warnings that warn of suicidal ideation and homicidal ideation. So we can't exclude those as a culprit, and those are the kind of studies that we're doing.
So I've never seen.
Now, those studies, I think, are more important than ever, especially with their autism study that's going to be coming out here. And this is one of the shining lights of this Trump administration that actually has been doing incredibly important work that I think will change the landscape of American politics and American health in the right, proper direction.
That medicine, but you're saying that if you get it, some of the side effects could be homicide, suicide?
Well, there are black box warnings on some of these psychiatric drugs that warn about, in their clinical trials, that they saw suicidal and homicidal ideation. So, you know, we are going into that with an open mind.
Yeah, that's what we need now more than ever. And if you agree, share this video. You want to calm down and relax? Check out takecalm.com. I can't thank you guys enough for supporting our independent media organization here. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys doing that. And this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more beautiful and amazing human beings, all here on youtube.com/WeAreChange.